Throughout history, music has reflected the attitude and beliefs of different generations. The genres of music have evolved over the years, and so have all the reasons for listening. Whether it's an emotional connection to the artist or song, music has a definite effect on all of us. We can experience music in many different outlets, from live performances to radio, to even our own devices. Music has also allowed people to creatively express themselves through composing, writing, dancing, and exercising. As performer Johnny Depp once said, music touches us emotionally, where words alone can't. Hello and welcome to Generations. Today we're going to study the personal and generational effects that music has on us. We're going to explore the similarities and differences among the generations. And we're going to ask what it means to have a favorite song. Our guest is Joe Bellotti, professor of music at County College of Morris. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Kath.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
So what do you do as music director?
Well, I'm a professor here at the college, at County College of Morris, and I teach classes in music theory, which is the mathematics of music, and I also teach a course on the history of rock and roll.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and I've been a musician all my life, so I'm a performing musician, so I've been out there playing for people through the years, and I'm primarily a rock guitarist, but I enjoy playing other styles as well.
So music is your life?
Music has been my life. Yes, it has.
Our producers actually put together a video, and they went to the street and they asked different generations what music represented to them.
Okay.
So we're going to take a look at that video right now. Music from each generation may be vastly different, but a person's reasons for listening may be exactly the same. In every generation, people have listened to music to relieve stress, identify with others in society, or maybe to provide an escape from reality. If people thought about this and considered why exactly they're drawn to certain music, they might find that different generations aren't so different after all.
My name is Phil Reynolds. I'm 73.
Hi, my name's Eric Kuhn, 27 years old.
My name's Ben. I'm 20 years old.
I think there was a greater impact of social action songs. The Vietnam War generated a great deal of really good music, creative music. I've always found that for myself, it's leading edge.
I feel that the music of my generation is totally exploratory, and I feel that we're on the edge of fusing acoustic music with electronic that truly has the ability to make us move more free than we've ever been.
I'd probably say pop punk is one of the most important music genres out there, just because it kind of speaks to a lot of kids' like inner angst.
Rock and roll speaks for my generation of people when I grew up, and I believe the reason was mostly because it had freedom of speech a lot more than some of the other eras, including the 60s. So the 60s and 70s was like the biggest time for music, and there's a lot of new artists coming out there writing a lot of new music, a lot of different lyrics, speaking about what's going on and everything like that. So I think it had a strong opinion, and I think it still carries on to this day.
I would have to say pop. See, pop is, you know, exciting, like excited, very energized, and that's how we are right now.
I think my generation was kind of a confluence of the end of the rock and roll era and the beginning of the hip hop era. I mean, I listened in the 70s mostly to, well, late 70s mostly to things like Led Zeppelin and folks like that. And then as the hip hop era began, I kind of got into that, and I think that's pretty much the definition of my era.
My name is Delianne Teschendorf. I'm originally from Marshall, Texas, but I live here in Manhattan. I'm 42 years old, and the music that best represents my generation, I would say, is the new wave. You know, The Cure, Depeche Mode. That's what I listened to. It was what my older brother listened to. It's what my friends listened to. When we would go out and dancing, that's what it was.
Hello, my name is Carolina Sachno, and I'm in 9th grade, and I'm 14 years old. And my favorite band is 5 Seconds of Summer, and I really like their energy in the music and the way they write the songs. And I really like, when I listen to it, I feel very excited, and I like the way the song is portrayed.
Jazz connects us to our parents and our great aunts and uncles because they grew up listening to jazz every New Year's, and so it's something that I feel will always relate to us.
I think rap is the type of music my generation listens to. I'm totally not a fan of it, but I listen to it because everyone does, so yeah.
In high school, it was Zeppelin, it was U2, it was a little of the generation before, and then the generation that was. It united us.
My name's Pat, I'm 21 years old, and I think rock is this generation's music. The reason being is because I think rock is so versatile that pretty much everyone in our generation has listened to at least some form of rock and likes it.
Hands down, it had to be club music and music from the 80s. And still to this day, it's funny that we should be asked a question like this. I told a lifelong friend that, you know what, the music that I listen to and dance to, still to this day when they play it in a club, everyone gets up and it's still happening and it's still popular because that music just became classic and it really transcends itself.
That is so interesting.
Amazing.
How music affects so many different people in so many different ways.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
I mean, just amazing. Each person on that video expressing about music that was dear to their heart, lighting up when they talk about it. But you notice that each person that said something, they also connected it to some experience in their life. You know, and I think that's what's really important. You often hear people talk about music. It became dear to them because it was sort of the soundtrack to their life at one time. They created that memory through an experience. You heard one person talk about the Vietnam War. You had another talk about dancing in clubs, and that was, you know, her music.
Oh yeah,
and,
she totally lit up, right?
And it goes on and on. And I think that's the way it works.
So how do you think music impacted your generation?
Well, we had it. Every generation is going to say that their music was the best. I feel like music of my generation really was the best, but I have a good reason for it. And the reason is that there were all kinds of various different styles that were all popular. They were all on the airwaves. They were being played on the radio, on TV, concerts. It was all popular. Whether you went from heavy metal to easy listening to country rock, to bands like Steely Dan that were playing jazz rock, to David Bowie who was putting makeup on, to Bob Marley who's you know representing reggae, and it was all popular. So it was very easy to gravitate towards a particular style that really connected with you. And really all people of my generation, you could almost go around and just by talking with them sort of get the essence of which style they adapted to. You know, a little different than today.
A little different. So how does it different today? Do you think people have the same experience or no?
They do, but their means for getting the experience, I think, is different. And that's because right now we're in an era where what's happening on the popular airwaves, on radio and television, is not very diverse. It's sort of one-directional, one particular style that works, and therefore the big business maybe sort of just keeps pumping it. And it's really forcing the youth of today, or anyone who's interested, to find these various styles by some other means.
Because there has to still be an expression. I mean, human beings are not going to stop expressing themselves through music,
You're
right?
It's still happening.
Right. So
But
where's it
now-
happening? Where are
and
you
it's
finding?
funny, you and I, you know, and I say you and I because, you know, for us, the underground was going to a record store and going into the back and finding some cover that appealed to you or the picture that appealed to you. You know, people now are going to the internet. The underground is the internet. The underground is in their smartphone. And you heard even a couple of gentlemen in the videos talking about styles that I've never heard of.
Right.
And they're saying it's the cutting edge. Where'd they find that? That wasn't on American Idol.
Right.
Right?
Interesting.
You know, they got to go and find it. But it's there, and they are finding it. It's happening.
Do you think that different generations are willing to accept the music then of other generations, or do you think they dismiss it?
I think they are. You know, I at first was thinking that maybe our generation might not be adaptable to new sounds. But the more I think about it, you know, some of my closest friends come up to me and they say, you know, I listen to country music now. You know, someone who listened to Led Zeppelin when they were young, I'm listening to country now. They're making new experiences, new memories, new soundtracks to their life, and they're lighting up as they talk about it. Younger people, my students in class, incredibly diverse. They know about different styles from around the world that they go and find. They bring to me, listen to this is from this is a band from New Zealand.
Yeah.
You know, there's a band from somewhere else. And yet, another one came up to me yesterday and said, you know, I'm listening to Electric Light Orchestra. I said, who's listening? I'm not even listening to them anymore. They're from this. How do you know this? You know, and they're mentioning bands. I said, I haven't listened to that band in 20 years. He said, yeah, I just downloaded 3 of their records. You know, so I'm finding young people today are very open and they're very bright, and they're used to having to field information very quickly. It's the nature of this internet, you know, generation.
You mentioned something interesting. You said that back in the 50s, music was a little bit more vanilla. And you said there was a major event, just like that gentleman spoke of the Vietnam War, but you had an interesting spin on that.
You know, America is still a very young country, but in the 1950s we were still very young.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's safe to say that, you know, just with the advent of television, we were still very naive. And music reflected that. You know, some of the, you know, I think the #1 hit of 1959 was, you know, How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? You know, very vanilla. There was never anything profound being said in pop music, unless it came from a show or a movie or something that the tune came from. That's what the message was. It represented the plot. No original statement, really, of any depth. I think John F. Kennedy was a great proponent of getting young people, really the whole country, to come alive, become healthy, young people to think, and for young people to start expressing. And that's something that really didn't happen in the 50s. Young people didn't talk, they didn't think, they really just were behind their parents, you know. And upon his assassination, I think it really fueled an outcry from the younger generation to start speaking out more. It manifested itself in the likes of people like Bob Dylan, the folk movement, which then influenced the Beatles to start singing about more than just She Loves You, Yeah, 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 and I Want to Hold Your Hand. They started putting more profound messages into their music, and it really blossomed by the late 60s, where the entire counterculture came alive and was expressing about everything from politics to civil rights to you know, the Vietnam War, everything. And it's really, we've never stopped
since. Thank you so much for joining us. It was just a pleasure having you.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for listening.
We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Generations. Our guest now is Matt Paterno, and he's music educator at Wayne Hills High School and William Patterson University. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thanks for coming. So tell us a little bit about what you do. You're a music director and a band leader?
Yes. Yep, which is a very interesting combination because as a band director, you're interested in the performance aspect of music and working with people, whether it's William Patterson or the Hanover Wind Symphony, which I direct on the outside, or my school ensembles, but also as a music instructor, you get to work with music theory, the construction of songs, how they're put together, the melodic aspects of it, harmonic aspects of it. So it gives me a nice kind of cross-section of working in different parts of music.
Oh, that's amazing. You know, our producers went out to the streets and they interviewed different people from various generations and asked them what song changed their life. We're going to watch that right now.
Music has the power to transport people to another time or another place. Everyone has a song that's meant something special to them. A special person, a favorite place, their youth. Music changes people. And according to stress management experts, music affects the body and mind in many powerful ways, from pain management to anxiety and depression. But one thing is undeniable. No matter the generation, we all experience strong effects of that one song.
My name is Catherine Bermudez. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Dover, New Jersey, and the song that changed my life is Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield because it made me realize that even though I made mistakes in the past, there's no reason why I shouldn't take on new chances in my future.
Hi, I'm Anthony Paterno. I'm 12 years old from Parsippany, New Jersey, and the song that changed my life was Uptown Funk because it got me into listening to new types of music.
Hi, my name is Donna Sanders. I'm 51 years old and I live in Lake Apacona, New Jersey. And the song that changed my life was Crazy For You by Kenny Rogers. That was the song that was played at my wedding by the band for my first dance with my husband, and this year we'll be married for 29 years.
Hi, my name is Erica Severid. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Long Valley, New Jersey. And the song that changed my life is Calvin Harris's Thinking About You because it got me into dubstep and it's a beautiful song.
Hi, my name is Allison Paterno. I am 9 years old. I live in Parsippany, and the song that changed my life is Somewhere Over the Rainbow because I am singing it for the talent show.
Hi, my name is Barbara Ferran, and I'm from Lincoln Park, New Jersey. And the song that inspired me is You Light Up My Life by Debbie Boone. And it inspired me because my parents came from Cuba in the 60s, barely with nothing, and they struggled, they learned the language, they worked very hard, and they raised 4 wonderful children and put them all through college. And I felt that if they could do that, anyone could succeed in this life. So that's what makes me proud of my parents, and every time I hear that song, it reminds me of them.
My name is Alfonso Nunez. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Dover, New Jersey, and the song that changed my life was Sideline Story by J. Cole. At the time, I was really going through a lot of obstacles, and that song just gave me the motivation that I needed to overcome them. So that's why it's my favorite song.
Hi, my name is John Herr. I'm from Lake Apacona, New Jersey. I was originally born in Newark, New Jersey. I'm 62 years of age, and I'm pretty much a child of the 70s. And the song that changed my life was I'm Your Captain, Closer to Home by Grand Funk Railroad. And the reason why that is I was a 17-year-old freshman at Lebanon Valley College in Unionville, Pennsylvania. And I was out of my element. I was away from home, away from my family, away from my dog, away from everything I knew and loved. And that song by Grand Funk Railroad, I'm Your Captain, Closer to Home, was very nautical. It had seagulls in it. It was very peaceful. And what it did was it made me think of home and the lake, and it got me through a very tough time. And here I am, 62 years old, and that's my favorite song, the song that changed my life. Thanks.
You know, it's an amazing thing that you can say that music actually changes the way you think. Music can be a placeholder in your life.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
And all the different generations. Look at all the different music. It's just how it transcends.
And it's interesting how music, too, can give you such insight into generations when it's the lyrics of different things that are happening in society, social commentary, political views, that if you're not from that generation, sometimes it's hard to relate to those lyrics or those songs, but it's also a great way to get in touch with what those generations were thinking.
You know, I just thought of something. You were saying that when you teach kids, you sometimes teach them different genres that they might not be comfortable with, like teaching them jazz or something that they know nothing about and they would never listen to on their own.
Right.
Do you think that maybe that gives them a better understanding of the generation that created that genre?
I think that's an excellent point, and that's the whole hope, is that through music, you know, we say art reflects society, but specifically music does, and through music you can learn a lot about people you've never met. When we listen to songs, when I listened to songs out of the 60s, I had mentioned There But For Fortune, Joan Baez. I don't know that I experienced those things, but I have a certain amount of insight now into how she must have experienced those things and what they meant to her.
Well, it can also kind of color the environment for you, kind of fills in the blanks. When you hear about people's, they're storytellers, the
Absolutely.
lyrics, right?
And you're learning about their stories, their life, their influences, things that mattered to them that perhaps don't matter now, but if they hadn't mattered back then, we wouldn't be where we are now. And, you know, when you listen to some of the songs and how songs have changed, how lyrics have changed, sometimes we think nowadays a lot of the music is very angry. And the lyrics are angry. But what they're really doing is telling us how people are feeling and telling us people's experiences. You listen to Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, out of when I was young. Great storytellers. And all they're doing is telling the stories that shaped their lives.
Yeah, but you know what? I just thought of something. There's one topic that has been sung about and written about forever. I don't think that topic ever changes.
Very true, very
right?
true. And if you listen to a love song from the 16th century to yesterday, you're going to hear the same sentiments, but colored by the society, the experiences, even the music that composer had to write with. Music has changed a lot. The physical music, the melodies, the harmonies.
It's changed partially because of instruments too, right?
Absolutely, very much so. Technology, but it's still, a lot of times the lyrics still bring us back to the stories, the feelings, the wants, needs, attitudes of the
humans,
people who wrote
right?
it.
Okay, so you teach music. Do you think that there's a particular genre that has influenced this generation more so than others? I mean, has rap influenced what's, because that's what we all think about when we think of this generation. We think of rap music, right?
It's very interesting. I actually think instead of one specific genre, it's the proliferation of genres that has influenced this generation. There's so many different types of music that, let's say, kids nowadays are listening to. So many different messages, so many different aspects of society that are being brought into music. And because there's so many different genres, there's so many different ideas. There's so many different stories. There's so many different commentaries, so many different emotions. That's what I think is really influential on this generation now, is that they can be in contact with so many different feelings and thoughts and stories from all over the world, multicultural music being so big now, let alone their own hometown.
You know, I wonder how rap is going to be regarded in 20 years from now. I remember my mom used to tell me that I used to listen to the Beatles.
Sure.
And she'd say, turn that off, that's horrible music. And I listened to it and I go, what was so horrible about it? It was wonderful. But, you know, 20, 30 years later, it's considered classic, right?
But you can go back to Bach, who wasn't appreciated in his time. You can go back to the music of the 30s and 40s, which was going to ruin kids because of the way they danced to it.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of been a rite of passage that younger people have used music to express themselves. A composer once said, music expresses that which cannot be said in words. Unless, of course, you're using lyrics, and then you're combining what the music is saying and what the story is saying to create a better product, a more influential product.
Interesting, interesting. Okay, so I have to ask you, what compelled you to want to teach music?
Very interesting. You talk about what's, people on the video are talking about what song changed their life. And Gustav Holst wrote a piece in the 1920s called Second Suite for Band. That piece changed my life because that piece made me want to show other people music. Now, there's no lyrics, it's a concert band piece, but that's the piece that really sold me on music and said, this is the best thing for expressing myself. There's other songs. Bon Jovi's Stick to Your Guns is a piece of philosophy that I love. Again, it's a story set to music. A friend of mine who unfortunately just passed away wrote a song called Ease the Burden. And it talks about living life for now and not letting life be a dress rehearsal and reminding you that time goes pretty quick. So I think all those songs have changed my life in one way or another.
Do you see as the kids, as your students learn music and the evolution of music, and they learn how to put music together and play in a band, do you see that shaping their lives?
Absolutely. I think it gives them an opportunity to explore, an opportunity to both understand and respect what was done in the past and what maybe they want to do in the future. And whether we're retro-engineering a piece, we always talk about breaking down a piece, the Beatles, taking some of the harmonies. And what we find is a song like Let It Be is the same chord progression as Pachelbel's Canon, which was written in the 1700s. But what's different is the message that they've put on top of it with the lyrics. And that's very interesting.
Well, you see that, though. You see the compounding of music. You see how rock evolved. And,
sure.
Right? And
it's almost one generation changing what had been done before and putting their turn on it. And I think that's what's so interesting when it comes to music, whether it's lyrics or without lyrics, that we see is how each generation takes what has been done before and makes it their own.
You know, I know you're probably a little biased because you're a music teacher, but it would seem to me having only 8 notes, and you think about what comes from those 8 notes, that it's probably a far deeper expression, a creative expression. Maybe, I mean, painting, yes, certainly.
Sure.
But it's amazing to me how you can take 8 notes and make millions of songs.
Absolutely. I mean, we joke that Haydn wrote 104 symphonies himself. How much was there to write after 1790? Well, millions of songs. And I think that's one of the things that has influenced this generation, that the combination of notes and chords and rhythms and things, a lot of it has been done. So what's been changed is the message behind it. I think that's why lyrics have become so much more important. And when most people talk about the song that changed their life, they're probably talking about the message of the lyrics. There's a great piece called Adagio for Strings that changed my life in a lot of ways. But at the same point, you might hear that and you'd say, well, that doesn't really mean anything to me.
Well, you know what? I think music means a lot to so many people that it just, we could go on forever, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. Nice to be here.
Really appreciate your insight. And we'd like to thank all of our guests, Joe Bellotti, Professor of Music at County College of Morris, and of course, Matt Paterno, music educator at Wayne Hills High School and William Patterson University. And we really appreciate all of their thoughtful insights, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to look us up on YouTube at CCM Generations. And until next time, I'm your host, Catherine Kelly.